There are some people out there that assert that Christmas trees are pagan, and one of the verses they use is Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 3 through 4. I'm here to talk about what that text is really talking about. But first, I just want to tell you a story about what happened yesterday. So my wife and I, we went to this Christmas tree event. It was amazing. So there's thousands of people around us. We saw Christmas trees inside of homes. It was really nice. It was beautiful. But also we saw all sorts of trees outside that were all decked out with Christmas lights and stuff. So we saw like palm trees with Christmas lights. We saw street lights with Christmas lights wrapped around. And there's even like this one interesting thing I saw. Like someone took wire, right? And they, out of this metal wire, they made the shape of a tree. And on it, they hung hubcaps with Christmas lights around it. And on these hubcaps, you would see like Nissan, Chevrolet, Ford, P.S. If you bought a Ford to save money, that money you saved on buying your Ford, you're going to spend it on a mechanic. I cannot stand Fords for that reason, trust me. And a lot of people have the same sentiment. But anyway, my point aside, I digress. The thing is, was anyone worshiping these trees? Was anyone worshiping the palm tree or the street lights or the lights around it? Or were people worshiping the Christmas trees inside these homes? No one's worshiping these things at all. No one's saying the tree is a god or anything like that at all, period. People are just enjoying the custom, the cultural custom of Christmas trees and Christmas lights. That's all it is. Jeremiah chapter 10, 3 through 4 is not talking about Christmas trees at all, period. And it's also saying that it's about idols. So let's go through this section right here, this passage. I'm going to show you this thing called context to tell you that it's not about Christmas trees, okay? So the general argument goes like this. They'll take Jeremiah chapter 3 and they'll say, well, trees are cut down. And then verse 4, they decorate it with silver and gold and they fasten it with nails. So they say, therefore, it's a Christmas tree. But they're missing a main point in that passage. So I'm going to read through it and we're going to discuss it and explore together what it's really talking about here. So here in Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 3, it says, for the customs of the peoples are vanity. A tree from the forest is cut down and worked with an axe by the hands of a craftsman. And that's the point that the anti-Christmas tree people miss in this particular passage. They see that the tree is cut down, but notice it says, and then it's worked with an axe by the hands of a craftsman. So it's not like they just cut the tree down. And actually rephrase, it does not say they cut the tree down and then set it up. It says they cut the tree down and it is worked by an axe with the hands of a craftsman. So it's actually this wooden tree is being worked on. Now that Hebrew word craftsman, by the way, is harash. That's the Hebrew word. And harash is always translated in various ways. It means a craftsman, an artificer. I saw another text in the Old Testament where it talks about it's a jeweler. It's someone who takes an object like wood and they transform it into something else like furniture or, something beautiful or into jewelry that can be worn. That's what the word harash is actually used for. That's what it means to be a craftsman. It does not require a craftsman to cut down wood. That word is actually chatav, and that means cutters, eighths of wood. So literally it'd be chatav, eighths. That is cutters of wood. And you'll find that Hebrew in Joshua 9:27 and also in Jeremiah chapter 46:22. Since we're in Jeremiah, it's nice to use a Jeremiah reference. So the cutters of wood is chatav, eighths, but that's not being used here at all. Instead, it's talking about the craftsman, harash. And harash, craftsmen, their main job is not cutting down trees. So what they're doing here is they're taking the cut down tree and the craftsman is working on it with an axe. From whatever product that they make, it tells you right there in verse 4, they decorate it with silver and gold. They fasten it with hammer and nails so that it cannot move. So they fascinate it. Craftsmen in the Bible, by the way, as a side note, you'll see some of them are doing work for Yahuwah, our triune God, for the glory of God. And you have some craftsmen, who are doing their work for Satan by making idols. So in life, you could do your job for either the glory of God and use your skill and talent for God's glory, or you could use it for evil. I mean, for example, there are some people who have good business acumen and they make great businessmen. They just make money easily. And they can do that by starting a legitimate business. But you got some people out there that decide to use their gift to say, sell drugs, and so that ends up killing people and hurting people and just creating so much damage. It's ridiculous. So those same people could have done their talent for God's glory by starting a legitimate business and funding missionaries, helping God's kingdom grow. But instead, they just want to sell drugs and ruin lives. So take your talent and use it for God's glory. That's the application of this lesson so far. But let's continue on in this text. So this craftsman, the tree's cut down, he takes an axe and grinds it, right? And it's by the hands of the craftsman. They decorate it with silver and gold. They fasten it with hammer and nails so that it cannot move. So they secure it. But verse 5 tells you what this craftsman made outright in the context. All these anti-Christmas tree people had to do is read the very next verse. And it says here in Jeremiah 10:5, their idols are like scarecrows in a cucumber field, and they cannot speak. They have to be carried, for they cannot walk. It continues, do not be afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither is it in them to do good. So it says here right off rip in 10:5 of Jeremiah that it was idols that was created by that craftsman. And then he uses a simile. Jeremiah uses a simile here. He says that the scarecrows, these idols are like scarecrows in a cucumber field. So I'm sure all of you have seen scarecrows like in a farm field, on television, or even watching Wizard of Oz. The scarecrow is a character. A scarecrow is just something that someone makes. It's got the form of a head, crazy arms, and some legs. And you put it in the field to try to make it look like there's a person there to keep the crows away. That's the point. So the idol that was created by the craftsman in verse 3 is actually an idol, and it explains it cannot walk, so therefore is a wooden image with wooden legs that was carved out. It was a wooden image with a wooden head because it says it cannot speak, it cannot walk, right? So it has wooden legs carved out, and it's got a wooden head carved out for it to be described that it cannot speak nor walk. And it tells you additionally that is an idol. Furthermore, if you read on in verse 8, Jeremiah 10:8, it says, they are both stupid and foolish. The instruction of idols is but wood. So once again, it tells you what the craftsman made in Jeremiah 10:3 and 4. He made an idol made of wood. That's the context. And then if you go on to verse 14, Jeremiah 10:14, it says, every man is stupid, and without knowledge, every goldsmith is put to shame by his idols, for his images are false, and there's no breath in them. So once again, the context, Jeremiah 10:14 tells you it's idols, physical idols that are the issue, not Christmas trees. Here it talks about the goldsmith. He's using his talent again for evil. He takes gold and fashions it into an idol. And it tells you outright, for his images are false, and there's no breath in them. These idols that people worship do no good. The one you're supposed to worship is the living one, and that's Jesus Christ. You have to worship him. He is the creator, according to John chapter 1, and he resurrected from the dead. So remember that, please. So with that said, this context is not about Christmas trees. It's about idols that were fashioned and that people are ultimately going to worship. It was a carved image here. The craftsman made something out of wood. The goldsmith made something out of gold, and maybe they combined the product together. However, it's an idol. It's evil. You're supposed to worship our triune God, Yahuwah. And so, like I said in verse 5, it describes the idol as having a head and, of course, legs, for it cannot speak, nor can it walk. That's the context. That's just what I want to share with you today. So in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, I wish you all to be blessed. If you have a Christmas tree, keep it, enjoy it. My wife and I have a Christmas tree. This passage shows it's not about Christmas trees, it's about idol worship, and we have no idols in our house. But anyway, I gotta bounce. I got some stuff to do. My wife and I are invited to her, it's my in-laws, her parents, and she's got like 6 siblings. One of her brothers is on leave from the Marines. Another one of her brothers she hasn't seen in 3 years. He just had twins. So she just saw her twins for the first time, and her brother and her sister-in-law for the first time in some time here. So anyway, I hope you'll enjoy yourselves. Happy Christmas Eve, and tomorrow I wish you a Merry Christmas. God bless you all. Peace.